Hello friends, today we will discuss the basic block diagram of a simple pulse generator circuit. Now, as I have discussed in the previous lecture, that the definition of the pulse, you can define the definition of the pulse is the duty cycle difference between the pulse and the square wave is, in the case of the square wave, the duty cycle is 50%. Okay, but in the case of the pulse wave, the duty cycle can be varied. It is in your hand, that means you can vary your duty cycle, it is not fixed. That is the definition of the pulse. So square wave is actually looking like this, so on and off period is going to same, but in the case of the pulse it is different, like that. Okay, so now I will discuss the basic, a very simple block diagram of this. Now this is not the actual circuit, this is the block diagram. Actual circuit is already been discussed in your analog electronics course. So now the basic block diagram, wait a minute. Now in the basic block diagram circuit, you can see that there is two current source. First of one, that is the frequency control. Now this frequency control is actually controlling the frequency of the output waveform. Whatever may be the output waveform, that can be controlled by with the help of this frequency controller. Next is your upper current source. First of your upper current source, and in the lower you can see that your lower current source. Now these two is actually providing from this frequency control. Now if we change the knob of the frequency, the sum of these two current is actually varying, which is responsible finally to the duty cycle of this output pulse or square wave, whatever it may be. So I am repeating again, that means in the case of the any waveform generation circuit, we are in the case of the any waveform generation circuit, we are changing the frequency knob at the generator circuit. Now if we change the frequency of the generator circuit, then the output waveform is changes according to that. Okay, so in the actual circuit, what happens is that if we change the knob of the frequency here in this block diagram, the upper current source, sum of the upper current source and the lower current source is actually going to change, which in turn providing or determines the duty cycle of the output waveform. Okay, now between them there is the switching circuit. Now the function of this switching circuit is that it actually determines which current source is open at a time. That means there is a two current source, you can see in the block diagram. At first it is going to look very complex, but after discussing that, it is not very complex as it looks. So in the case of the upper current source, there is two current source. First of all, that is frequency control actually controlling the sum of the currents of these two. Next there is upper current source and the lower current source. Now this upper current source and lower current source is not active, both are not active at the same time, one of them is active at the same time. That means that is determined by the switching circuit. Okay, so at that time, at any instant of time, you can look at the circuit, then you find that either upper current source is on or lower current source is on. Okay, so next this switching circuit, now this is your current output I1 and this is your, suppose the current output I2. Now this current is responsible for charging this capacitor. Okay, and this current is responsible for whatever may be the circuit between that, this current is responsible for discharging this capacitor circuit. This is the fundamental difference between these two, upper current source and the lower current source. Next, if this current source is responsible for charging the capacitor, the ramp capacitor voltage is going to increase whatever this current source is on. That is okay. So as soon as that the voltage starts to rise, the Schmitt trigger is actually driven by this capacitor voltage. You can see that this voltage is connected to this, and output of the Schmitt trigger is connected to this switching circuit. Okay, so that is the two difference. The output of this capacitor circuit is driving the Schmitt trigger, and output of the Schmitt trigger is driving the switching circuit. Okay, so Schmitt trigger output is dependent on the capacitor voltage, and which current source is on, that is dependent upon the Schmitt trigger voltage. That is kind of feedback. Okay, now whenever this I1 is increasing, then capacitor voltage is starts to rise. Now there is a predetermined level in the circuit. As soon as the capacitor voltage reaches that level, whenever the capacitor voltage starts to rise in that way, the Schmitt trigger voltage according to the circuit arrangement starts to rise like that, or maybe starts to fall like that, whatever may be the circuit arrangement. Suppose it is starts to rise like that. Now as soon as the capacitor voltage reaches the predetermined level of the circuit component, then the Schmitt trigger, that is the triggering circuit, changes its state. That means if it is higher level, it changes to lower level, if it is lower level, changes to higher level. Now as soon as this capacitor voltage changes the predetermined level set by this circuit component, the Schmitt trigger changes its state. As soon as Schmitt trigger changes its state, then the switching circuit also changes in state, because the switching circuit is driven by the Schmitt trigger. Now as soon as the Schmitt trigger changes its state from its previous level, then the switching circuit is changes. That means switching circuit changes mean, in that case, upper circuit is off and the lower circuit is on. Now as soon as the lower circuit is on, capacitor starts discharging like that. Okay, so as soon as the capacitor starts discharging like that, this circuit is on. As soon as it reaches the predetermined level, negative, that means lower level of the predetermined level set by the circuit component, then again the Schmitt trigger changes its state. As soon as Schmitt trigger changes again standard state, then the upper circuit is again on. Then this operation is repeated again and again. Okay, and the Schmitt trigger output is given to the different output circuit, which is a matching network for the different purpose. Whatever may be the different purpose of this output waveform, that is given to the different matched network circuit. Now in the next figure you can see that whatever maybe I am telling, that is given by this. Okay, so that is the upper current source and that is your lower current source. Okay, so as I have said that there is a frequency control, and in between that there is a switching circuit. This is the switching circuit and this is the frequency control of the output waveform, and there is Schmitt trigger. Okay, so this is the total circuit arrangement. So I am again discussing the logic. So frequency control, there is a knob at the frequency control which is end to end. That means if you change the frequency, the output waveform frequency will be, output waveform looks to change. Suppose the output waveform like that, if you change the frequency, output waveform may look like that. Okay, so that is dependent on the frequency. That is the end to end point operation. Now whatever happen inside is that as soon as we change the frequency knob of the generator circuit, what happens that this frequency circuit is actually providing the sum of the currents of these two. That means this frequency control circuit is responsible for the sum of these two current, I1 and I2. Now this I1 is actually responsible for charging this capacitor, and whenever through this is not connected, this is connected like that, switching circuit. Okay, so as soon this I2 is responsible for discharging the capacitor like that. Okay, So as soon as that I2 is on, capacitor starts to discharge. Now you can see that this is the I1, this is on for that time. As soon as I1 on for this time, then I have said that capacitor starts to rise, capacitor voltage starts to rise, it is rising, and the Schmitt trigger, whatever may be the state of the Schmitt trigger, that is holding. Suppose it is positive state. Now this is the predetermined positive level. As soon as the capacitor voltage reaches the predetermined level of the positive voltage, it is changes its state, and it is changes its state, but Schmitt trigger also changes its state. As soon as Schmitt trigger changes its state, then it is going to change the current source or switch on the current source I2. As soon as I2 is on, it is starts to discharging, then discharging happens, it is again reaching the predetermined. As soon as discharging happen, this I2 is on. Okay, you can see that this I2 is on. Now as soon as it reaches the predetermined level defined by the circuit component, it again starts to rise. So we are getting at the output of the Schmitt trigger a pulse waveform, and that is duty cycle of this defined by this frequency control circuit. Next, again practical implementation of this Schmitt trigger circuit, sorry, pulse wave circuit. Now in this case of the pulse wave circuit, we are using one astable multivibrator and one monostable multivibrator. Now astable and monostable multivibrator, astable is there is no stable state, that means output is varying like that. Okay, and with the help of this resistor and the capacitor, duty cycle of the square wave can be set. Next, monostable multivibrator. Monostable multivibrator is called one shot. One shot means it is only one stable state, and this is a differentiator circuit. This is differentiator circuit, this is a stable circuit providing a square wave, and this is a one shot circuit. Okay, so the purpose of the one shot is to trigger the monostable. That means this circuit is providing a triggering to the monostable circuit. So as soon as the triggering is going to happen, then this monostable circuit providing a spike like that. So by this way we can also generate a pulse. So I am again repeating, the stable multivibrator is going to provide a square wave, and monostable multivibrator getting a trigger from the previous circuit providing a small duration spike to the output waveform. And the circuit arrangement C2R4, here you can see that the C2R4, it is called the differentiator circuit. The differentiator circuit is used to providing a very short duration spike like that. That means we are getting a square wave. In the next section you can see the purpose. So you can see that this is the output of the astable circuit, and this is the differentiator circuit C2R4. In the differentiator circuit, if we differentiate this differentiator circuit, we are getting a spike like that. This is a triggering circuit. Okay, so as soon as the monostable multivibrator getting this trigger, it changes the state like that, one shot. Okay, so we are getting a pulse wave out of this circuit. Okay, so from this figure, this is in the previous figure. I am again going back to the previous figure. So this is your astable circuit. I am again repeating, this is providing some sort of square wave because it has no stable state, going to change its state. So if you differentiate this circuit with the help of this circuit, how C2R4 can be used as a differentiator circuit, you can go to internet and search how the capacitor and resistor arrangement can be makes use of a differentiator circuit. So with the help of this differentiator circuit, it is going to, we are going to get a spike like that, we are going to get a spike like that. And as soon as that spike is triggered this monostable circuit, we are getting a pulse like that. So at the output we are getting a pulse waveform. Thank you.